Hi, kindergarten. It's Miss Jen. I miss you guys. Do you remember me? I haven't seen you guys for a while in the St. Patrick's School Library, but I'm going to be reading you a couple of stories over the next couple of weeks. You'll get them from your teacher. So this week we are going to read a book I was going to be reading to you if we were in school, and it's called Mr. Tuggle's Troubles, and it's by Blankenship and illustrated pictures. Remember, those are the people who draw the pictures, illustrated by Dugan. Mr. Tuggle's Troubles. He looks like he has some trouble. There's Mr. Tuggle, and he's got a newspaper hat and some cardboard boxes on his feet. So we'll see why and what his troubles are. So let's begin. Mr. Tuggle's Troubles. This is called the title page. And Mr. Tuggle's Troubles by Blankenship. Pictures by Dugan. There's a little picture of Mr. Tuggle. And the author actually signed this book. To the students at St. Patrick's School, may you always find joy in reading. Blankenship, December 21st, 2005. Isn't that cool? On Monday morning, Mr. Tuggle woke up to a bright spring day. After breakfast, he put on his shirt and tie. He put on his pants and belt. And he put on his shoes and socks. Now, where's my hat? He asked himself. He looked here, he looked there. He couldn't find it anywhere. Fiddlesticks! Well, maybe I should have put it on the shelf last night. Oh well, who needs a hat anyway? His room is very messy. You see his cats. So he picked up his umbrella and rode to work without his hat. At noon, Mr. Tuggle said to himself, "It's such a lovely day. I think I'll eat my lunch outside." That's when the trouble began. A pigeon flew over his head. Splat! That bird made a mess. Smack dab in Mr. Tuggle's hair. "Jumpin' jelly beans!" cried Mr. Tuggle. "I guess I do need a hat," he said. So we have Mr. Tuggle on the bus here. We see screaming babies, crying babies. We see him. Bus driver. We see him eating his lunch, and the bird, and something coming out and going onto his hair. In his office, he made a hat out of the morning newspaper. He put the newspaper hat on his head and tied it with a string. "Not bad," he said. Later, he wore the newspaper hat home. So there he is, making his newspaper hat in his office, and his office is also messy. We see spilled drinks, just a mess all over the floor, all over his desk. And then here at the bus, on the bus, people are kind of looking at him a little strange. There he has his newspaper hat, and the little babies now are pointing at him. On Tuesday morning, Mr. Tuggle put on his shirt and tie, and he put on his pants and belt. "Well, where in the world are my shoes?" he asked himself. He looked here, he looked there. He couldn't find them anywhere. Fiddlesticks! Maybe I should have left them by the door last night. Oh well. Who needs shoes anyway? So there he is getting dressed and forgetting his shoes. And there's the trail of him trying to find it. A trail of mess. So he put on his newspaper hat and picked up his umbrella, and he rode to work in his bare feet. People pushed and shoved in the office elevator. That's when the trouble began. Someone stepped on Mr. Tuggle's toes. "Jumpin' jelly beans!" he cried. "I guess I do need shoes," he said. He found 2 cardboard boxes in his office closet and tied them to his feet. "Not bad," he said. So here's the bus ride, and so they're all really looking at him funny now. Now she has the babies on the other side of him, and the bus driver's like, "What is going on?" And there's Mr. Tuggle, newspaper hat, and no shoes on. And there he is getting stepped on in the elevator. And then we see him putting on his cardboard shoes. Even his closet is messy. Later, he wore the box shoes home. On Wednesday morning, Mr. Tuggle put on his pants and belt. "Goodness, where is my shirt?" he asked himself. Uh-oh. So there he is. He's going on the bus. He's getting on the bus, and they are looking at him funny. And there he is getting ready for work and not finding his shirt. Well, he looked here and he looked there, but he couldn't find it anywhere. Fiddlesticks! Maybe I should have hung it in the closet last night. Oh well, who needs a shirt anyway? So he put on his tie. He wore his box shoes and newspaper hat. Then he picked up his umbrella and rode to work in his undershirt. Okay, so there he is, trying to find his shirt in his, once again, messy bathroom. And we notice some things that are different on the bus. The bus driver's looking a little like, I don't know what's going on here, and nobody is sitting by Mr. Tuggle. They're all in the back of the bus. Because now he has his newspaper hat, no shirt, and his box shoes. After lunch, Mr. Tuggle said to himself, "I believe I need a breath of fresh air. A short walk should do the trick." That's when the trouble began. Bees darted back and forth. Buzz, buzz, buzz. They spotted the tattooed roses on Mr. Tuggle's chest. "Jumpin' jelly beans!" he cried. "I guess I do need a shirt." And he ran all the way back to his office. So there's the path that he was walking down. There's all the bees. And can you see the roses on his chest? Mr. Tuggle took down his curtains. He tied one curtain to his chest. He tied the other curtain to his back. "Not bad," he said. Later, he wore the curtain shirt home. So there he is getting his curtains down and putting them on. And And here he is, heading out for work, for the bus. This lady was so surprised she dropped all of her papers out of her briefcase. On Thursday morning, Mr. Tuggle put on his curtain shirt and his tie. He put on his pants and belt. He put on his box shoes and his newspaper hat. Well, heavens to Betsy! Where's my umbrella? He asked himself. He looked here, he looked there, he couldn't find it anywhere. Fiddlesticks! Maybe I should have put my umbrella in the umbrella stand last night. Oh, well, who needs an umbrella? So there he is, missing his umbrella. And here he is on the bus. And now we notice something very different. He's on the bus alone. There's only one coin in the bus driver's container. After he'd eaten his lunch, Mr. Tuggle said, I think I'll go to the park and feed the squirrels. That's when the trouble began. Plop, plop, plop. A light rain started to fall. Mr. Tuggle heard the drops hitting his newspaper hat. His pants and curtain shirt became damp and cold. His box shoes started to get wet. Jumpin' jelly beans! I guess I do need an umbrella, he said. And he ran all the way back to his office. Mr. Tuggle noticed a large picture hanging on the wall. He reached up and took it down. Later, he carried the picture over his head as he walked in the rain to the bus stop. So there's Mr. Tuggle with his squirrels feeding the squirrels and the little rain that hit his hat. And then there he is running in the rain. So he gets his picture frame and holds it over his head to protect himself. A crowd was waiting there in front of a department store, so Mr. Tuggle waited with them. He looked at the reflection in the window glass and could see everyone around him. Oh, what a silly man that one is, he thought. Then he looked again. Oh no, that's me! Mr. Tuggle laughed at himself. He was still laughing when he got on the bus. Everyone on the bus laughed with him. Soon Mr. Tuggle went home. Enough's enough! I must find my missing things, he said. He looked here, he looked there. He couldn't find them anywhere. He looked again until he found his hat, then his shoes, then his shirt, and finally his umbrella. I know, I'll put all my missing things where they belong, he said to himself. Then it will be easy to get dressed in the morning. So here we see him looking at himself in the reflection and seeing how crazy he looks. And him finding all of his stuff. Well, when he woke up on Friday morning, Mr. Tuggle felt as cheerful as the sunshine peeking through the window blinds. He remembered his missing clothes weren't missing anymore. They were all exactly where they belonged. He sprang from his bed and danced a little jig. He put on his shirt and tie. He put on his socks and shoes. Then he put on his hat, grabbed his umbrella, and headed out the door. Mr. Tuggle hummed a little tune and twirled his umbrella as he strutted to the bus stop. He smiled and said, I found all my missing clothes. Today should be a wonderful, no trouble day. So there is his neat bedroom, so he must have put everything away and cleaned up. And there. He's so excited because he found all of his stuff. And there's his trouble-free day. But uh-oh. Something's missing. Maybe you can let me know next time I see you if you can remember what was missing. I think you may know. Okay, so that was Mr. Tuggle's Troubles, and I think it's a fun book. Anyway, I will see you guys next week. I hope everybody is well, taking care of yourselves, and having fun. And I will see you soon, hopefully. Bye.